Hello everyone, I am Rachel M. de la Cruz, one of your discussants for today's topic about curriculum evaluation. So our previous discussants have discussed the various stages involved in developing a curriculum, from curriculum planning down to curriculum implementation. So this time, I and my partner, Angelica Lopez, will discuss the last stage of curriculum development, and that is the curriculum evaluation. So I will discuss the following subtopics: concepts, views and definitions, purpose, forms of evaluation, and tools, methods, and techniques for evaluation. Before I start with the discussion, let me present the objectives of our topic. So the first one is discuss and explain the concepts, views, and definitions of curriculum, followed by identify the purpose and forms of evaluation, and explain the different models of evaluation. So there are also several questions that would be answered in our discussions, like what is curriculum evaluation? What are the purposes of the curriculum evaluation? Why is it necessary to evaluate the curriculum? What are those to be evaluated in the curriculum? And how is evaluation going to be done? So to begin with, let us have the concepts, views, and definitions of curriculum evaluation. So according to Staffelbeam on 1991, curriculum evaluation is a formal process of determining the quality, effectiveness, or value of a curriculum, while Ornstein and Hunskins on 1998 viewed curriculum evaluation as a process done to gather data to decide whether to accept, modify, or change, or maybe even remove something in the curriculum in general or educational material in particular. While Oliva on 1998 defined curriculum evaluation as a process of delineating, obtaining, and providing useful information for judging decision alternatives to maintain the curriculum, modify, or eliminate it. So based on their definitions, we can say that curriculum evaluation is a process, and it is a formal process deemed significant to determine whether the planning, the procedures and methods, the organization, and even the implementation become effective and successful. So evaluation is also a tool for decision making that usually leads to whether maintaining the curriculum, changing, revising, or modifying it, or totally remove it. So Gatawa on 1990 defines curriculum in three ways. So the first one is, it is the process of describing and judging an educational program or subject, followed by the process of comparing students' performance with behaviorally stated objectives, and the process of defining, obtaining, and using relevant information for decision-making purposes. So according to Gatawa, his three definitions are somehow interrelated. So the first activity involves gathering information to determine whether the curriculum is implemented the way it is programmed. So the second activity pertains to looking at the performance of the learners to find out whether the objectives have been attained or not. And the third activity focuses on obtaining and gathering relevant data to make decisions on whether to revise or improve the curriculum. So therefore, it may be considered as the process of determining the worth and merit of a curriculum. So Curriculum evaluation is also a necessary and essential aspect of any national education system. Why? Because it provides the basis for curriculum policy decisions, for feedback on continuous curriculum adjustments, and processes of curriculum implementation. So, curriculum implementation aims to examine the impact of implemented curriculum on student learning achievement, so that the official curriculum can be revised if necessary and to review teaching and learning processes in the classroom. So to summarize all their views and definitions, we can say that curriculum evaluation is, of course, process of gathering data to judge or decide whether the curriculum has achieved its worth and effectiveness. So it could also lead to decision making, whether to retain the curriculum, revise the curriculum, or modify it, or totally remove it. So moving on, let us have the purposes of curriculum evaluation, or why is it necessary to evaluate the curriculum. So any aspect of an activity should be evaluated for better performance in the future. If evaluated objectively, this brings good results and quality performance. So now, why evaluate curriculum? So the first one is to determine whether the curriculum is producing the intended results and meeting the objectives that it has set forth. So determining whether the curriculum meets the demands of educational reforms that have been made is essential components in the process of adapting and implementing any new curriculum in any educational setting. So it is reasonable to find out if the learners have learned what was supposed to have been learned. Next, the second is to gather data that will help in identifying areas in need of improvement or change. So this will help in identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the curriculum to come up with the decision making. Next is to make necessary adjustments and or improvements in case of possible gaps in the results of the evaluation. So of course, it is important to know what produced the observed outcomes to decide on the interventions. So interventions are very important to improve the curriculum. So another purposes are to ascertain how different institutions and situations interpret and implement a prescribed and mandated curriculum, to monitor and get feedback on whether the curriculum is running effectively, to provide information necessary for all concerned, especially the curriculum evaluators and educators, which include teachers and the school heads, for policy recommendations to achieve educational outcomes. So teachers could use curriculum evaluation to improve their teaching. The schools may use curriculum evaluation to appraise the quality of the teaching staff. The school heads or the principals may use curriculum evaluation to provide information to help them make decisions, while the governing agencies, which include the district offices, division offices, the regional offices, and the central office, may use curriculum evaluation for accountability and control purposes. And of course, to determine appropriate and available resources, activities, contents, and methods based on actual experiences. So the evaluation must help in identifying the improvements needed in content, teaching methods, learning experiences, educational facilities, and the development of the objectives. So now, what are to be evaluated, or what are those to be evaluated in the curriculum? So the first one is goals and objectives. Why is it important to evaluate the goals and the objectives? So goals are the overall purposes of the curriculum, whereas the objectives are the specific and measurable actions to be taken to reach the goals. So again, goals are overall, the overall purposes. Of course, while the objectives, these are the specific actions. So, of course, the objectives must be SMART. So, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So, there are particular goals and objectives to be achieved. And these are the very foundation why the curricular program is developed. So, all the processes and mechanisms needed in designing the curriculum are based on these goals and objectives. Hence, they have to be evaluated, primarily to determine whether these goals and objectives are worthwhile or if they are achievable and result in the desired outcomes. What else? So we can, evaluators could also evaluate the content and methodology. So of course, the contents of the curriculum should be evaluated to know whether they relate with the needs of the learners as well as with the needs of the society, whether they are also still updated or no longer updated. So the methodology must also be evaluated to find out whether they are appropriate or not to the level of the students, or if there is a need to change, or if there's a need to change the teaching methods to maximize the learning. So it is also important to note that contents, materials, and methodologies must fit the goals and the objectives of the curriculum. But the evaluators can also evaluate the outcomes or results. So outcomes and results must be evaluated as well. So since they serve as the ultimate measure of how successful or effective the curriculum has been in achieving the goals and objectives. So evaluation of results must go hand in hand with the evaluation of objectives, content, and methodology. So the results show whether the objectives are achieved or not, or whether the content is appropriate or not, or whether the methods used in teaching and learning process are effective or not. So the outcome evaluation is conducted to draw up data and information that can be used in improving the curriculum. Or finally, also, the whole curriculum itself is subjected to curriculum evaluation. So what do I mean by whole curriculum itself? So evaluators may evaluate everything. So starting from goals and objectives, content and methodology, outcomes and results. So overall. So those are the things to be evaluated in curriculum. So moving on, let me discuss the forms of curriculum evaluation. So generally, any evaluation process may take either formative or summative, depending upon the intent of the evaluation. So formative evaluation, this term was originally coined by Scriven on 1967 to classify evaluation that gathered information to improve instruction as the instruction was given. So it is considered as the process that looks for evidence of success or failure of a program, a syllabus, or a subject taught during implementation. That's according to Glickman, Gordon, 2004. And it answers two questions. So, is the instruction successful? If it's not successful, what can be done to avoid failure? So determining the success or failure of the curriculum is the utmost concern of the curriculum evaluation in education. So it aims to obtain information to improve a program. So formative evaluation is one way of making sure that all aspects of the curriculum implemented are likely to produce the desired and expected results. So again, formative evaluation is done to improve the instruction, and it is done during the implementation of the curriculum. Next is the summative evaluation. So summative evaluation is a method used to judge the worth of a curriculum at the end of the syllabus, where the focus is on the outcome. That's according to Scriven 1967. So it is a form of evaluation used at the end of the implementation of the program. So it involves gathering data usually collected at the end of the implementation of the curriculum program. So it happens after a curriculum has been implemented for a period to yield accurate and complete judgment about the value of the curriculum or any course of study. So, in short, summative evaluation is done at the end of the implementation of the curriculum or of the program. So, and then it may occur after a new course material has been implemented in full or in several months to years of such implementation. So it serves as the basis in deciding whether the curriculum will be continued, improved, or revised. So let us have their differences. So I put their differences in a table. So first column, the descriptor, then the formative evaluation, and the summative evaluation. So purpose, what is their difference when it comes to purpose? So the formative evaluation is to improve the instruction or process. So it means it aims is to improve students' learning and teachers' teaching. So it is considered as evaluation as a process, while summative evaluation is assessment learning outcomes in a given unit, quarter, semester, academic year, or these are called, sometimes these are the these are the chapter tests, the unit tests, or the periodic tests. So the purpose is to evaluate the student's achievement. So this is considered as evaluation as a product. So formative is evaluation in a process, while summative is evaluation as a product. Then when conducted, so again, as I have mentioned earlier, so formative evaluation is conducted during instruction or ongoing operation, while summative, this is after completion of the program. The audience for formative evaluation are the teachers, while for some summative evaluation are the interested stakeholders. So the typical method for formative evaluation is observation, formative test, monitoring checklist, while summative evaluation, of course, checklist, rating scale, summative test, portfolio. And then the reporting of formative is periodic, so usually informal. And then the summative, so cumulative record and assessment of what was learned and accomplished. And the relationship, of course, so formative evaluation is basis for summative evaluation. And then the summative evaluation collects results of a previous formative evaluation. Now, so let's have the analogy. So I have here, when the cook tastes the soup, that's formative. And when the guest tastes the soup, that's summative. So usually the cook tastes the soup while he is cooking to know if what else could be improved. If the taste is good or there's a need to improve. And of course, the guests, so that's the product. They will taste now the product. So that's summative. Now let me discuss the tools, methods, and techniques of curriculum evaluation. So the first one is the questionnaires. So questionnaires consist of a series of questions usually followed by 3 to 5 indicators with corresponding numerical equivalent to facilitate analysis and interpretation of responses. So I have here a sample questionnaire. So as we have discussed a while ago, what are those things to be evaluated? So here, these are just examples. So objectives and the content. So as you can see on the right side, there are 5 indicators. So usually, the respondents will just tick or check their response. Next is the checklist. So checklist contains a list of variables or characteristics about a particular situation or event, where correspondents are usually asked to just check or put a check mark opposite the variable that corresponds to the kind of data being sought in check. So I have here an example. So curriculum assessment checklist. So they will just check if the indicators are included or not. Next are the interviews. So you are all aware about the questionnaires, the checklist, the interviews, and even the other methods that I'm going to discuss. So interviews, this can be done on one-on-one or face-to-face situation. But nowadays, so since we have pandemic, so usually interviews can be done through online or through phone. And of course, the observation. So observation refers to a technique in which one or more persons observe what is occurring in some real-life situation. So it is used to gather exact, precise, and accurate data because the evaluators can observe how a program is implemented in the educational system. And last but not the least, the documentary reviews and analysis. So this refers to the actual conduct of evaluation of existing and available documents such as memoranda, circulars, orders, minutes, procedures, and the like, may provide evaluators with comprehensive and even historical information about the implementation of the. So those mentioned tools, methods, and techniques are used for gathering data for curricular evaluation. Aside from the result of those formative, summative, the achievement test, and even the performance task of the students. So whether the evaluators use any of these tools to gather data, so the main purpose is to determine whether the goals of the program are. So to conclude, curriculum evaluation, being the last stage of the curriculum development, is imperative and essential to determine the work of the curriculum
from the time it is conceptualized, planned, organized, and implemented. It provides the basis for curriculum policy decisions to either improve or change the curriculum to make it more relevant and responsive to the changing needs of the learners as well as the aspiration of the country. That's all. That's my topic. So, thank you for listening.